Welcome. Do you go by Chris or Christopher?
Christopher.
Christopher, full name. Cool. Christopher, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Laura.
So I do these interviews slightly differently, just a little
Okay.
bit, because usually when you're on a podcast or doing an interview, you have your top 5 tips or your elevator pitch and these pre-programmed responses. I just want to shake that up a little because I want to get to know who Christopher is behind the
Hmm.
message, behind the business. So here's my question. If you could have other people describe you in just 3 words, what would you love those 3 words to be?
Hmm. Generous, kind, and
Mm-hmm.
helpful.
Aww, I can feel those already. So then, of course, the follow-up is how do the words generous, kind, and helpful, how do they play a role in the key message that you have for people?
How do they play a role? That's
Yeah,
an interesting question.
thank you.
I don't know. It's something that I think about. It's just something that I am,
Exactly.
right? And so for me, it really comes down to being versus doing. So
Mm.
the way that I'm being is more impactful than the thing that I'm doing for you.
Ooh, yeah, more impactful. I can never write
Leading by
as fast.
example.
Yeah,
Yeah.
leading by example. I had the privilege of going to Milton Hershey School in Hershey, Pennsylvania. And Milton Hershey School owns 51% of the stock of Hershey Foods Incorporated. So, so Milton Snavely Hershey was a young man whose father decided to put him in a confectionery apprenticeship for 4 years. And after that apprenticeship, he decided that he was going to open up a business. And he borrowed some money from the family, and the business failed miserably.
Mm.
And he then decided to move to St. Louis and borrowed more money, and the business failed miserably. So he got on a train, set all of his stuff back to Philadelphia, and borrowed more money, and the business failed miserably. So he had to go to work, and he worked at a factory. And then during his lunchtime, he decided to share these caramels that he would make at the industrial park. And as he continued to keep doing this every day, he ran into this guy named Longfellows from London. And this guy decided to give him $1 million to open up the um, the Hershey Caramel Company. And then he sold that business, I think, in like 1907 or something for $1 million. And you can imagine what $1 million is today.
That's
Like
a
if
lot of money in
Yeah.
1907.
yeah, that's like tons of money. So him and his wife decided to open up a school called Hershey's Industrial School and build. He bought what 486 acres, and he adopted 12 unfortunates, which were boys who'd lost their fathers during World War One.
Oh.
And I think his example of generosity is something that they're not preaching generosity to you when you're going to school, but you're at the effect of generosity. You're at the effect of kindness. You're you're at the effect of helpfulness. And so it sort of gets baked into you simply by going to school there. And so I always feel like appreciation is the gratitude. Appreciation and gratitude are the attitudes to get you more of what you want.
Hmm.
And that was a difficult time for me because I, as much as they were generous and kind and loving and helpful, I wanted to be home, but I couldn't be home because my mother, she took her life.
Mm.
And so it was either foster care or Milton Hershey School, which is pretty much what my grandmother could handle at the time.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, that almost that fear of somebody losing, of you losing somebody again. You know, like you're in this situation at school. It's not until we become adults and we can look back about the gratitude of what we experienced. Because when it's happening to you at the time, all you're thinking of is who am I going to lose next? What am I, you know, should I trust these people? Are they going to leave me? Are they going to, all of those. I'm guessing this is what you were feeling, Christopher, because I've talked to
Yeah,
many
yeah,
people that have been in like inner city situations and so on, that a lot of times when people act out and they're in these situations, it's because they're terrified of losing who's the people around them that are close. So you did a lot in a terrible way, and now you're in this situation. But now you look back and how grateful you are for that situation to begin with. I mean,
yeah. I think
am I getting it right?
Yeah, I
It's
think for me the thing was this is that I've always had a very strong edge towards freedom.
mm-hmm.
Mm.
And when I was 6 years old, my mother bought me my first big bike, right? I don't know if you remember the bikes where it had like the pole in the back with a flag hung off of it,
Oh,
right?
Had one of
yes.
Yeah,
those.
yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
So I wanted those
The
bikes.
small front wheel, the big back wheel. Yes.
Yeah, so my mom let me go anywhere I wanted at any time. She had absolute trust in me. So going to boarding school was difficult for me because I'm someone who operates very well outside of structure,
Mm.
and I don't operate very well inside of structure because I'm very passive in all my perspectives around life. I'm a passive eater. I'm a passive communicator. I'm passive physically. I'm passive mentally. And so that was very difficult for me being in boarding school. And as kind and as generous and as sweet as they were to me, I was always longing for freedom and trust that I could get to where I was going on my own in my own timing. And at boarding school, every minute of the day is accounted for. And at 7 years old, that was very difficult for me.
Oh.
So the thing that I was missing really was the freedom that I had to roam in my own timing that my grandmother always gave me since I was a kid.
Yeah.
Is that where it weaves into leaning more and focusing more on the beingness
Yeah, I
versus
mean,
the doingness?
yeah, I mean, my book is called Free for Life.
Do you have the book with you?
Yeah, it's right behind me. And you see there's a little microphone here, right?
Aw.
Because
That's
this
so
is my
cute.
goal section. And then the microphone goes right in front of my book because that's what I want to do. I want to speak. I want to be able
Ah.
to get in front of people
Great.
and give an inspirational, aspirational message, but also teach and give them education around a true transformational experience and what's necessary in order to be free from the inside out.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. Free from the inside out. And you were just saying that you were looking for that freedom.
I was looking for that freedom. And the
Exactly.
irony is after I got out of boarding school, I had the freedom, and then I decided to volunteer to go into the military to become a U.S. Navy SEAL, and I ended up in more constriction,
Structure. Yep.
right? But,
More structure. Yeah.
yes, more structure, but the least amount of structure in the military in the sense that in the SEAL teams, there's really no book, there's no manual for how we're going to take on an operation. We just sort of, like a rabbit, we just pull it out of a hat and we just kind of figure it out in the moment what needs to be done.
Hmm.
And everybody in a platoon, there's 16 guys, everyone has their own job and no one else has your job. And so you have a certain amount of independence to get things done in a timing in a way that works for you. So that was an okay environment for me. But still, you're right. It was more structure. And then eventually at some point, I was having a conversation and made a plan because I wanted to go to SEAL Team 2, which was on the East Coast. I was at SEAL Team 5 on the West Coast because I wanted to be close to home and be near my family and friends. And I am from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Hershey and the coal regions of Pennsylvania. Those are three areas where I was raised. And I had a desire to be able to go home on a semi-regular basis, which I couldn't do living in California. And my one of the officers at SEAL Team 5 told me that they weren't going to take on the charge of mailing my personal effects to the East Coast. I was going to have to pay for it myself, but my replacement from the East Coast is SEAL Team 2. His SEAL team was going to pay for his effects to be mailed to my duty station. And at that moment, I remember thinking, oh, they care deeply about him and his goal to be in California close to his family, but you don't care about mine. And 2 weeks later, Chris's vacation was coming up, and I had 90 days of stored vacation on the books, and I decided to go home. And while I was there, I went back to the base and I checked out of the military because my time was up and I could have either extended more time. So I got a call like maybe a week after Christmas from one of my officers. He was like, "Hey, when are you going to be ready to platoon up?" And I said, "I'm already out of the military. I'm already checked into college now." And he was like, "When did that happen?" I said, "Over the Christmas holidays." And so I just checked out because I didn't feel like they were going to invest in me. And then I saw this other team investing in this guy, and I said, "No, I won't participate in an organization that doesn't see me as valuable at an emotional level."
Yep.
And I moved on from that structure.
How has that experience shifted the way that you do your work today or share your message?
Yeah, I think what happens for me, because I work with people one on one and I
Yeah.
teach groups, and I've always been someone that I never try to keep students close to me, right? Um, I always feel when it's time for them to move on, they're going to know what's best for them,
Mhm.
and I'm going to trust and never have any ill feelings. Because sometimes, when you're investing your love, your energy, your consciousness, your time, your efforts, um, your heart and soul into someone's growth, you want to stay connected. You want to continue to grow with them. And I've always done my best to be able to let people come in, teach them there's a revolving door, and when they're ready to go, they can go. When they want to come back, I treat them the same way that they did when they were here before. So I
Yeah.
never have any ill feelings when it's time for people to move on. And I
Mhm.
always feel like God has a plan, and I'm never meant to compete with God's plan or disapprove of what the universe wants for this person.
Yeah.
And so I do my best to inform them and let them know that my love, my care, my generosity, my helpfulness will always be available. And yet, if you're ready to move in another direction, then you should go there confidently, knowing that I feel good about our relationship.
We talked a lot about relationships, treating people like human beings, both yesterday and today. And it reminds me of in university, we have different types of relationships and friendships. And when you find the right ones, then you can laugh at and do what my husband and I did. 10 years after university, we knew where a couple of friends lived. So we hadn't seen them in a decade. We go and we knock on their door. They look through the peephole, and all you hear is screaming about, wait, who is it? What? And then they open the door. That is what you're actually creating for people and allowing for people, is to say, I can have that same enthusiasm for you as the first day that you joined me.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
magic and a gift right there.
Yeah, because the love for me is always love, right?
Yeah.
It's meant to be unconditional.
Yeah.
And I love surprising people in that way, and I love being surprised in that way. I love receiving a text of like, "Hey, I just want you to know that that conversation we had 5 years ago in the grocery store changed my reality." And that's why I think being generous and kind and recognizing that this is an important moment when you're
Mm,
sharing with someone, because you never know what that impact is going to be.
yeah. I was just about to ask you, have you ever had people reaching out to you years later saying, this is how you've impacted me. Just thank you so much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it happens all the time. I love it.
Aw. I think it is one of my favorite messages. Was that one of your specific favorite messages, or do you have other ones that you're like, this was cool. I was not expecting this at all.
I mean, what are my favorite messages? To think about that for a second.
Yeah.
I think the messages that I love are ones that are unexpected and ones that really sort of make you feel emotional,
Mhm.
ones that really just pull at your heartstrings
Yeah.
and are a complete surprise. And I think the messages that I really love most, are when God's turning my life in a completely different direction without me knowing. And I'm
Ah.
like, oh, I had no idea I was going left, and then we're going left. Okay, here we go.
I wanted to highlight it for a moment because those of us with messages and we're trying to share them, we get to the moments sometimes where we're like, why am I putting in so much work? It's so exhausting at this point. I'm tired. I need a break. And then a message like that pops in. Or maybe you
Yes.
had that message a year ago and you just need to reread that message. They can get you to keep going. They can revitalize you enough to be like, this is exactly why I do it.
Yeah, I mean, I had a guy reach out to me. I do Instagram reels.
Hmm.
And it's a lot of energy, it's a lot of time. And this guy said to me, he's like, hey man, listen, your reels are so important to me. And I was like, and I was considering like, do I really want to keep doing this?
Mm.
This is a little too much. And I got that message. I guess I'm meant to continue to keep doing that. And every time I consider ending uh, that part of the process, another person reaches out and goes, "Hey, just want you to know your reels are really important to me." I'm like, "Oh,
Yes.
okay,
Every time,
okay, I'm
every
getting
time
the
you're out,
message."
every time you think you're out, they pull you back in, right?
Yes,
In
yes,
a good way. In a good way.
yeah. So those are my favorite messages because it
Hmm.
means to me that the universe is listening and aware of my feelings and my thoughts that I'm having in real time. And then literally the very next day, I get a nudge to go, nope, nope, nope. You stay vested here. This is important what you're doing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's talk about the way that you share your messages. I noticed that you had a book and you showed us, you pointed in the background of your book. And then the little microphone, which is so cute, in front of the face of you on the cover of your book. You mentioned that you wanted to speak. Have you
Yes.
spoken beyond podcasts at this
Yeah.
point?
Yeah. I mean, I have my own podcast, the True Body Intelligence podcast.
Ah,
And then I have been a guest on probably 150 different podcasts.
nice.
And we'll continue to keep doing that for a few more years.
Hmm.
But really, the thing about a podcast is people can come in and they can check out, right? It's a little bit different when you're standing on a stage
Yeah.
and there's 50 or 100 or 1,200 or 12,000 people where they can be mentally checked out, but they have to be physically there. So
Yeah.
I've always been one that understands that my learning channel is energetic. And I know that we never talk about that as a learning channel. But I know if I'm on stage and there's 12,000 people there, that my energy is going to be projected really strongly. And
Hmm.
even if they don't understand the message at a conscious level, I know that at a super conscious level, they're going to be impacted and something's going to shift for them.
Yes. Do you have a favorite moment when you're on the stage, a live stage
A favorite
with the
moment?
audience? Yeah.
I just think all of them. I
You
mean,
like
it's
all.
it's just yeah, literally just being on the stage because when I'm driving home, the favorite moment for me is like I get this feeling overall and I'm like, yes. Yes, I did it. I showed up, I gave everything that I had, and I move on. But there's just this emotion that comes across my heart and I love that.
hmm One of my favorite moments on stage is when the audience goes silent and you watch the processing on their face. That to me is the sweet spot. It's like this is what I want every time, because when I'm on a Zoom, it's not as much. You can see facial expressions, but you can't see the body language.
Mm.
More of that nonverbal communication. But
Hmm.
in person, you can watch their whole body go from not understanding to starting that first step to starting to getting their aha moments. And you see that process with them. It's so good. It's so good.
I think the problem, if we were looking at just being on stage and speaking, I probably would say that my favorite moment is when they're asking questions.
Ooh.
And
Because
then
that
I
means they're
get,
listening, they're engaging.
no, I mean, for me, the questions are like I've delivered my what I think is important, right?
Yeah.
But when they're asking a question, now we're engaging and we're in this co creative element. Now they have a
Ah,
question. Now I have to engage them from this real time, authentic space rather than what I developed before I showed up. And in those moments, I feel like I'm co creating with Source, I'm co creating with the universe, I'm co
yeah.
creating with what people really want to hear.
Yeah.
And then I get to have that one on one experience with them. That's really important for me.
Yeah. Just another example of talking with your audience versus at them, right? It's
Yeah.
getting them involved, knowing not just an audience in general, but this person, this
Yeah.
person's specific experience.
Yeah.
How do we personalize it? And that's what's missing when they try to do it themselves. They Google it or they ask AI, and then AI spits out all this information, but they don't get that personalization like you're doing with a Q&A.
Yeah. It
So
feels
Well,
what?
good.
that Q&A can also inform what you do next. That you're because you find out, like you just said, what people are really thinking, what you're going to it with what you think they want you to say,
Yeah.
and what you think they want to hear, and then it can be something that they may not have realized that they needed to hear, which is fine. But then those questions can fuel your next move, your
Hmm.
next, and you think, wow, I never considered that. Thank you for sharing, that kind of thing. And then you can go, okay, maybe I need to craft the next one from this. And and then that way you're giving maybe a little bit more, because if one person is asking that, there's more than one person in there that has that same question. Oh,
Hmm.
it's just about bravery, because people are not brave to get and say, "I'll ask a question." So, but then when they ask the question, two or three other people in an audience, I mean, pick the size of the audience, the percentage,
Mm,
they have that same question. So
Yeah.
that's why that collaborative experience is so wonderful,
And
because the other people in the room are doing this. Oh yeah, yeah, I was going to ask that, So
it plays into the passivity in my mind, which is a strength for me. When someone asks a question, then the download happens like in the moment, and I'm learning as it's coming out of my mouth.
yeah. Oh, I used to do. I know exactly what you're talking about, because at the end of my karate classes, that when I would have these moments, and because we had a shrine in the front of the school, the dojo, and we would talk after class. I would talk, and I would say these things, and I'd go just exactly what you just said. I'd go, oh my gosh, afterwards, where did that come from? That was divine, because
Yeah.
I didn't even have that there. And it just would come out, and you'd have to take that moment alone to take it in, where you go, I don't know where that came from, but here it is now, and it's out there. And it came through me. I was a vessel.
Yeah. The dance with the divine.
Yeah. It's
And that's where the questions that are spontaneous questions at the very end or in the Q&A, that's when I get to dance with the divine.
yeah.
And that for me is a wonderful moment, because
Yeah.
you have all these eyes on you, right? And you have all this pressure that's building, and this diamond from out of nowhere just bubbles up to the surface or comes down from the heavens, however you like to think about it.
Yeah.
And I love that.
That's when you ask people to write down the quote for you, take a picture, post it on social media so that you remember. You're like, I really am genius sometimes. I need to be reminded of this.
Yeah, meaning my genius is stepping out of the way and allowing the divine to come through me so
Yeah.
that I can be a vessel and share and smile and enjoy that moment. And then I always inform people that, look, I would have never learned this had you not asked that question.
Right.
Because I like people to understand that this isn't something that I knew before you asked that question.
Mhm.
Because I want to give people the credit to realize that we co-created that information, that knowledge, that download, that wisdom together, because our auras touching, our auras connecting, our auras being in that unique timing that we were, allowed for us to co-create this information that came out. Because I always want people to understand that everything is co-created. Like when you go to eat dinner, you're co-creating with your knife and your fork. When you go to the bathroom, you're co-creating with your toilet seat and your toilet paper. When you go to take a shower, you're co-creating with the loofah and the soap. When you go to sleep, you're co-creating with the sheets and your pillow. Like everything is connected. And so that allows me to keep people from putting me on a pedestal, because I prefer to be at eye level with everyone. I'm more comfortable there.
Yeah. That's I agree with you on the co-creating part and the divine intervention part, for sure, and how everything is collaboration. That, I mean, if you think about it, that's where most of the learning happens, is when you allow people to ask these questions and that you answer them the best you can from divine intervention, your own knowledge, any of those things, accessing the Akashic field, these kinds of things. But in that space, that's where we get lifted up. That's where we have a spiral upward, as opposed to spiraling downward. And that's how our society moves forward. That's how the human race moves forward, through these types of connections, through these types of co-creations and collaborations, because we can't do it any other way.
Yeah, I mean, I always look at it as if, you know, when you look at a planet, let's say there's 8 billion people on our planet,
Yeah.
you need that many people for a planet to evolve.
Yeah.
Because of the measure of density that we have here. We need a lot of people doing the same thing to be able to generate a collective energy that's so strong that it ushers us forward into a greater state of evolution, because of the sheer mass of people that we have that are tuning in to a particular way of being. It's a way of functioning, a way of doing. And I love that collective, co-created understanding, because I think it gives the other people who are observing me and this other person in the Q&A, when I share with them that this is a co-created experience and this information is coming from both of us, I think it gives.
Uh-oh.
I was going to say, is that my internet or somebody
I
else?
don't know.
Okay, I think Chris should be back in a moment.
Hopefully he can, because he was right in the middle of a great thought.
I know.
I want to know what happens.
Jen, do you mind if I just take a moment?
No, go right
Okay.
ahead.
My cat is at the door. And I guess in the meantime, yeah, you can add on or share anything. I did like the highlight of those moments where we forget our genius, we forget to celebrate, we forget
Yeah.
this, that, and the other thing. Maybe I'll wait till he comes back and then I'll take a moment. She's okay at the moment. It's
Yeah,
just it can be hard.
and I mean, I understand you mentioned about taking the image, the recording, so on and so forth, which yes, that's important, but at the same time, it I don't know.
No, it's for
I
other
always,
people because in the
I
moment I'm like, I forgot what I just
well,
said, even though
I
it was
get
genius.
yeah, I get it. I mean, there's been like when you said that, I thought to myself, God, I wish I had a camera on me all the time when I was teaching these classes at the end, because I would have this record of it. But at the
Yeah.
same time, in some ways, and I don't want to use the word cheapen. I don't like, but it's the only word that's popping up in my head. I don't want that moment to be a social media moment, a viral moment. Do you know what I
Oh,
mean? Like,
yeah.
and not that that's a bad thing, because there's good points from getting the message out. Like if you said something great and you're getting it out to more people, that's a good thing. But do you see where I'm going? And I'm not doing it very well, but
I do know what you mean. You want to keep the full value of the moment versus trying to
yes,
just
and
narrow it to one moment.
right, and
You're
being
like, it's this depth. Yeah.
and that almost those that the people that were in the room, we're talking about that person that asks the question of you and you're creating together a moment in time. um and I like the fact that is a pearl of wisdom. I mean, not to use a cliche, I love cliches though, but it is a pearl of wisdom in that moment. And that person has this gift now forever, because you're doing a wonderful thing, in my opinion, of saying to them that you were part of the process. You didn't just ask me this question, but that you have now become part of this process. And Laura, you said a great thing while Christopher was gone for a moment and we were waiting for him, that you've forgotten your wisdom. We forget our wisdom. And in that moment, Christopher, what you're giving them as a gift is that they do have wisdom, and that they're not just some passive participant in your talk. They've become involved and they've now moved it forward for other people, and other people in the room were part of that moment that happened.
Yeah, and I like to like acknowledge that, because
Yes.
the acknowledging of that, the inclusion, I think gives everyone else in the crowd an opportunity to go, "Oh, you mean the question is as important as the answer."
Right. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I'll
And
be right back.
and
Jen will
when
continue.
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
Like
and when
I'm
okay,
sure
and
you've
when
heard.
these are delivered,
Yeah, I'm sure you've heard this
there's more
before.
space and freedom.
Yeah, I'm sure you've heard this before, that there are no quote stupid questions, only stupid answers. but I don't. I mean, I questions are what moves us forward. I mean, if you think about, I'm grounded in science, and my work, I do a lot of research of science of well-being. So those things, I mean, that we wouldn't have these research papers, these studies, and so on and so forth, that no one had a question to begin with. So the
Mm.
questions are what pushes us forward. And if you do as I've done, I've read thousands and thousands of studies. Oh, every single study at the end, they always end with "we have more questions." So it just all keeps bubbling up, that we keep questioning, and once we stop, in my opinion, once we stop questioning, then we stop. Period. Because you have to keep questioning things so that we can move forward, so that we stay curious, so that we want to know more. So I don't know if that's something that you would agree with, or
Yeah, I mean, for me, what's essential is for people to understand that knowledge, as important as it is pales in comparison to love.
Hmm.
And so the love is the inspired action that I'm taking to the benefit of myself and to the benefit of this other person. And the reason why I begin to share that I'm having a co-creative moment with the crowd, because I want them to understand the importance of connection and that connected value uh, is palpable in that moment. If we can take the time to share with everyone in the moments that we're in that their inclusion is what's making the moment so special,
Hmm.
and that the information is always secondary. The connection is primary.
Yeah.
And when someone raises their hand, they're saying, hey, I'm willing to connect with you.
Hmm.
And I have this question that I've thrown into the pond, and can we play together?
Hmm.
Can we connect? Can we share? Can we open the field a little wider to allow the presence of the divine to enter into this moment and bless us all?
Yeah.
And so that is the place that I'm coming from.
Hmm.
And the value that I'm delivering is around them understanding the importance of connection and the importance of love, and that my experiences and my knowledge are always secondary to this moment of connection,
Hmm.
because I want that to be the primary force and the primary message that people walk away with as an example.
Yeah.
Right? I'm going to give the knowledge on the front end. I'm going to give my experience on the front end. But on the back end, when we get to include someone else, I want them to understand that that is actually the most important element for me.
There can't be giving without somebody who's giving and somebody who's receiving. There can't be a real relationship here unless somebody is looking for something and somebody is accepting. Same thing with the gifts. But then if we also think of it this way, if they just ask the question without having that connection first, then it just feels more along the lines of using us for information versus having that connection first means that now we're creating that relationship as a useful and helpful thing with that co-creation, just as you were saying. It's just like the energy feels completely different. But Christopher, I want to make sure that we get in how to find you, of course, and your favorite way to communicate.
What my favorite way to communicate is nonverbal. I laugh because everyone always complains in my life. They're always like, "Oh, I don't think you're a good communicator." I'm like, "Not communicating is communicating, right? Are you watching my body language? Are you tuning into me psychically? Are you, because humans get so used to like this part of
Yeah.
communication, and they forget about this part, like you talked about earlier, the nonverbal communication. But I'm very good at connecting psychically to people. So I got so good at sharing and revealing my limitations in my communication that I forgot what your question was.
How
How
do we
can people,
find you
yeah, how
and
can
your
people find
favorite
me?
way to communicate? Yeah.
Um, I think people can find me through Instagram at Christopher Lee Maher, or they can go to truebodyintelligence.com, which is my website. And at my website, they can always email me. I respond to everyone's emails, and they can read my book and set up a connection call, and we can have a direct communication, and I can share with them what I feel would be valuable in that moment. And all those calls are free. I never charge anyone.
Nice. So then, of course, I like to leave space at the end of an interview just in case there's something on your mind or in your heart that you just need people to take away from this conversation. So, what might that be?
um Let me feel into this.
Mm-hmm.
Gratitude, right? I'm grateful for both of you, right? I've got to observe the end of the interview on the front end, right? Because I was there 10 minutes early.
Yeah.
And then, just seeing how you are connecting with each other, I feel like this way of being is valuable. And I'm grateful that you shared your time today and invited me on to ask me some questions and where you were curious about who I am and how I go about what I do. So I'm
Exactly.
grateful.
Thank you. And I think this whole interview just highlights exactly what you had said about why you love the Q&A section is now we get to co-create. So I don't like
Yes.
pre-writing questions because then I feel like I'm forcefully guiding a conversation, which doesn't feel natural.
It feels unnatural. And when people are doing it during a podcast, it's so obvious because they ask me this question. I share the information and then they move on to another question without relating to what I shared. And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, this is an amateur. This person has no idea how to create enough space to play ping pong. Like
Mhm.
when we go to sports, we go to watch sport. How many times are we watching someone play with themselves? Like you fill up the stadium because there's all these people that are responding to each other's movements and their energy
Yeah.
and their mental state and their will. Like I love watching that interaction between humans. And so hopefully people who pay attention to this they're going to get a lot more of that here
Aw,
because I
cute.
like the authenticity and the spaciousness to be able to go in whatever direction source or
Yeah.
you or us or our collective energy together wants to lead us. I really enjoyed it. I like it this way. I
Thank you.
prefer this style.
Aw. Yeah, it's my job to bring it back. So I will call this the official close of the interview part, but I do invite you to stay for a few more minutes because I like to use this space as a way to just share our different perspectives. Maybe it's some aha moments or some insights, or maybe just some memorable things that stood out to us. So I'm going to start with Jan because you're muted. Um, what is something that stood out to you in this conversation today?
Yeah. Just as a side note from a technical thing, I hope you don't hear the noises in the background. That's why I had my mute on because I'm like got noises, and then you come to me, and I'm like, oh, it's gone now. Anyway, I just think it's wonderful how you include your audience in when you do a presentation. I love that because and that what you were saying about giving them that opportunity to know that they were part of something important. And I that stood out to me. I love that, and I like your energy is very calm, and I like that. I'm drawn to that calm sort of energy. So I'm honored to have had the opportunity to speak with you today.
Oh,
Aw.
thank you, Jan.
And I'm going to
So-
mute again because the
okay.
sound is coming back. So
Sounds good. Christopher, what about you? What's something that stood out to you today?
I mean, really for me, it's always around the way the person's being.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that stands out to me from both of you is that Jan takes time to relate to what you're sharing, and she shares from a position of connection versus confrontation.
Yeah.
And I like when someone is expanding on what I'm sharing and reflecting back to me what they're hearing because it gives me an opportunity to receive. And I like the
Mhm.
way that you hold space, Laura.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks. Ooh. So there was one part where you said love is inspired action, and that of course is greater than knowledge. I wrote that down. I was like, I just need to remind myself that sometimes I will get caught up in doing the thing because I think I'm supposed to do the thing, even though it may partially be inspired. If I don't feel that love along with it, that joy along with it, is it really my inspired action? It just reminds me to question that. Or is it just somebody's knowledge, some Google's knowledge, whatever it is, that I'm just trying to implement because I should? I love these types of awareness questions to just realign and redirect myself every possible opportunity I can. So
Thank you.
thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you both.
I appreciate this. So our next guest is not here. That means Jan and I just get to chat. So much appreciated, Christopher. We will
Okay,
catch you
thank
later.
you.
Bye.
Thank you. Have a wonderful rest of your
Bye-bye.
day. I like that visual too of the microphone. That's a powerful visual.
Thank you. You know, I belonged to a mastermind called 4PC for like 6 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the assistant or the second in charge would always send out these gift boxes.
Oh,
And, you know, I'm the type of person, they're always sending me books and like new teacups and stuff. And then that came in, and I was like, that came in my box. I was like, I think that's the most valuable thing I ever got out of those boxes. In fact, it got to the point where they would send these boxes in, I wouldn't even open them because I was like, I can't handle having any more trinkets around my house.
yeah. But yeah, so every day when you go into that room, you see that, and that you're
Yes,
getting there subconsciously. That's wonderful.
we're getting there somehow because, you know, my goal as a child, I would say a child, as a young adult, you know, 17, 18 years old, was to be an inspirational speaker. I didn't know when it was going to happen.
Ah,
And I had one of the people that was connected to blU Talks was part of a different group that I'm in, and they linked me in with you guys. And I just thought, oh, this is the direction that my life is going now. So I immediately started shutting down the other phase of my business like
yeah.
2 months ago and started opening up this window.
Uh-huh.
And as scary as that is, it feels in alignment with what I feel like I'm destined to do.
Aw.
So you two are you're really sort of like the second big step that I'm taking in this journey. So I'm grateful to be able to have it with two women who are as kind, as generous, as thoughtful, um, and as aware around what it is they really want to do with their life and how they want to impact the world. So thank you so much.
You're
I
welcome.
will gracefully bow out now, and thank you for your time and your energy and your consciousness and your love.
You're welcome. See you later, Chris.
Bye bye.